Ladies and gentlemen, this is the first ever episode of the Alex Machuca Show. And it's actually really funny how we got to this name. My good friend Dillon Kivo over here, we were actually up last night and we knew we were going to be recording this episode. And I said, Dillon, what the heck should I name my podcast? And Dillon, being the genius that he is, said, dude, you got to build your brand. The Alex Machuca Show.
Just makes sense.
It does. It made a lot of sense. So here I am shamelessly plugging myself. But guys, to all my Twitter followers, like the lineup that we have for this podcast, obviously we're starting off with Dillon Kivo, over 1 million followers on Instagram, verified. He's worked with tons of celebrities, the best entrepreneurs in the world. And he's here to grace us with his presence. So really excited to have you on the show.
Glad to be here, man. What an intro! Making me look like Michael Jordan of authority.
Well, listen, not only the Michael Jordan of authority, but also my entrepreneurial soulmate. And I wanted to tell you this before. I've never gotten along so well with somebody like that we've met up for business. Like,
yeah.
And I get along with everybody.
Yeah.
But Dillon is like one of the most genuine guys you'll ever meet. And we just vibe, right?
Yeah. I mean, we were talking about that yesterday.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, I feel like I've known you my whole entire life. And it's been like not even a year yet. Right. So it's funny how just, fly in and then within like 24 hours, it's like, is this my brother? What's going on here?
Right.
So yeah, I totally agree with you, man. It's been super natural. It's been fun.
It's been amazing.
Thanks for having us here, bro.
Of course. Yeah. They've been at the office. They've been at the Linkcrest Media headquarters. We've been working on some stuff. Really excited, especially my followers on Twitter, on Instagram, anybody who knows me, all of my aspiring agency owners that you're trying to build your brand, build your credibility, build your name. This is exactly how I did it. This guy right here. Okay, this guy can get you into entrepreneur.com, Forbes. He can literally get you on a freaking billboard in Times Square. He can do pretty much anything. So, shameless plug. I mean, this is the guy. This is the guy that I use and you should use too. So Dillon, obviously, at least in our ecosystem, in the agency ecosystem, I would say there's not many people who are who have successful businesses when it comes to press, right?
Yeah, totally. I agree.
You're the guy. At least in my ecosystem, like you're the guy that I know. I think you're the guy that most people know, especially agency owners, right?
It's taken some time to get there.
Yeah,
for sure.
So that's what I wanted to get into, right?
Yeah.
How the hell did you start this? How did you just decide that you wanted to get into press one day? Like, what was that about?
The big, like, where I really got my start, I was actually living in the beach in Virginia Beach. And I was about 20 years old and I was playing hockey at the time. And I had no idea. I didn't know if I wanted to go to college to a 4-year and, just play hockey, continue my hockey career and take like the NHL route, which would have been really, really cool. But I'm like 5'9.5", almost 5'10", and it wasn't going to suit me properly. It wasn't. I would like to say it wasn't really realistic for me to do that. I was really fast. I had great hands, but the likelihood of me actually going to the NHL, that window was closing as I was getting older. But I also didn't really fit the criteria of like an NHL athlete, right? And I'm still, same build. And so I was like, well, what else can I do that would fulfill like my life, right? And so I thought, being from, growing up in Southern California, being a firefighter was just like everyone's like hometown hero. That was like the cool thing to do. Besides, of course, like most importantly, like helping people, right? Like the whole point of being a firefighter, of course. Like I've always loved helping people. I've had nonprofits and stuff like that, and it's always been something I've been passionate to do. So I was like, let me try to actually become a firefighter. And it was within 6 months, I was doing a lot of volunteer work with like the paramedic stuff locally in Virginia Beach. And that was really cool. And I just within networking in that small community, within 1.5 years, I was hired for the Norfolk Fire Department. And it was awesome for what it was. It was exactly what I signed up for. The problem with it is I didn't know what I actually signed up for. And when I say the problem, like, yeah, it was cool. I've helped literally probably upwards of, close to 1,000 people.
How many babies have you saved from a burning building?
I have to say 0 on that one. Yeah, definitely 0.
Maybe a couple dogs or cats.
Yeah, burning buildings. Yeah. But at the end of the day, it's like that lifestyle of being a firefighter wasn't really for me, right? Even though like people say, oh, they work 9-10 days a month, but what they don't tell you is it's 24-hour shifts at a time.
Right.
So it all comes down to it's really like 72 hours a day or 72 hours a week, right? So it's actually more than people really think. So long story short, when I signed up to be a firefighter, I was making $36,800 a year, which is not a lot.
Right.
For most people. And it definitely wasn't going to suit the lifestyle like that I was going for. And so, about 6 months in, I was like, I was kind of doing like a self-check. Do I really enjoy this? Like, because I knew I did it for long enough to where I knew the game. I knew exactly what the job was like. Is it something I could do for the longevity of my career? And the answer every time I thought about it was always no. And I come to find out, I'm a massive germaphobe. And so it's like being a firefighter when you're riding in ambulances every day. Being a germaphobe, those don't jive. You can't be a germaphobe.
I'm also a germaphobe. I literally will not share a drink with any of my friends.
I'm the same way.
I don't share food. Yep. None of that.
Nope.
You probably want to bring that a little bit closer, Dill.
Yeah. No. I don't do any of that. Right. Yeah. And so, but the thing is like if you're a germaphobe, you can't be like sticking needles with people like HIV and hepatitis and all this.
No,
like don't get me wrong. Like being a firefighter and doing those things, it's extremely like it's we have to have those people.
Right.
It's just those people. It wasn't who I was.
Right.
And so it's like again, I kind of went through the crossroads of oh shit. Well, now I'm not gonna. I know I'm not gonna do this forever. Well, then what am I actually gonna do? And my mentor at the time was a buddy of mine. He's like, hey, the company, who's an attorney, he's like, the company I work for, this CEO, his name's Paul, he really needs to start growing his personal brand because even though the business at that time was worth like $500 million, this CEO, Paul, he wasn't getting his personal brand out there to also help scale the company. And so I was like, I didn't even know what it was, right? And so they're like, yeah, can help build social media platforms and his website and all that stuff. And like you got to think about this, Alex. Imagine me currently as a firefighter, like macho, like at least mentality, right? Macho thinking, you're going to tell me that I'm going to be somewhat of like, I related social media and websites to like tech. Like you think you're going to have going from firefighter up here in my head to tech.
Or like a social media manager, like most of that are girls.
Yeah, exactly. Like, or some dude like sitting in like a basement in their mom's house, right? It's like I couldn't see that being me.
Right.
But he's like, Dillon, just trust me, give it a shot. Within 3 weeks, I went through the whole YouTube university, just like all we did, just like all of us. And I was like, you know what? Like, it might not be something that I'm passionate about, but if I can get really good at it, maybe I can make a lot of money doing it. And it wasn't necessarily just the money I was after, but it was the money that was the vehicle to get me to live the lifestyle I wanted to live.
Right.
And so long story short, it was within 2 months. I actually, on the weekends, when I wasn't doing firefighting, I actually on foot would walk to local, like not grocery stores, but like shopping malls, with like real estate agents and assurance, all those different insurance agencies who they have personal brands within their corporations that they have to build and maintain.
Right.
And so I got my first website gig for $500. And I was stoked because I was like, wait a second, this could be the start of something. So I had Paul as a client. He was paying me $300 a week. Very, very low.
Right.
And then I had a couple like sub clients kind of, alongside him that I took on to do websites and social media stuff.
Right.
And I was like, cool. Like if I just had a bunch of these different website clients, I would actually make more than what I'm doing with firefighting. So long story short, fast forward 6 months, a year from then, I was actually able to replace the firefighter income with just website. It was just me, solo entrepreneur.
Right.
And it was cool. And as soon as I made the exact same amount of money I was doing as a firefighter, I said, I'm going to actually focus full time on this stuff.
Right.
Not knowing that it was going to lead to where it did today, but I knew that if firefighting wasn't something I wanted to do full time forever, me stopping today or me stopping in 20 years was going to be the difference. Because if I stopped, at least if I resigned, within whatever, a week or two of that moment that I decided, that was going to buy me 20 years.
Right.
And as soon as I made that decision, within 6 months, I was on a plane. Paul, he started paying me more. I was getting paid, I went full time with him, dropped all my other clients, and I was starting to build up his social media, his website, all that stuff. And I was 23 at the time. He said, Dillon, like, I really see a lot in you. I want you to live in Nashville full time. And just to give you a background on Paul, at that time, his business was worth about $1.5 billion.
Holy shit.
And he was telling me that he wanted me to be his right-hand man to build his brand. And I remember I was 23 at the time, and he started paying me. I think it got up to about $55,000 to $60,000 a year, which was double from firefighting.
Right.
So instantly, I was like, you know what? If I can move there full time and just be with him, like physically with him 5 days a week, like 8 hours a day in his office, everything. And I was like, it's a no-brainer, because even though, like, again, I didn't go to college, any of that stuff, that was like my university.
Right.
Like, did the YouTube stuff. Like, I learned a lot of stuff from YouTube, but from Paul, which he didn't go to college either, he told me, I guarantee you will make, like, within six to 12 months of you moving here, you will make triple from what you make today. I was like, I had nothing in Virginia.
And did it deem
nothing.
true, Dillon?
What I mean, like, times like 100.
And let that, and also, time out, let that be a lesson to all these listeners. And, like, listen, I went to college. I graduated in, kind of ashamed to say this, about 7 years. And the only reason I graduated was because I paid somebody to take my last semester of classes.
No
just
way.
to get through it. I remember my dad goes, Alex, I don't give a shit what you have to do, but just finish it for your mom.
No,
like,
that's
all right,
funny.
I'm going to do that. But how I learned how to market and how I learned how to build this multi-million-dollar company that is Lincrest Media, YouTube, courses,
Yeah.
all that shit, right?
Yeah.
And that's exactly what you did.
Yeah, man.
But sorry to interrupt you. Go on.
No, totally cool, man. And so, like, let's just fast forward to where it gets good, right? We'll say I was about 25 at this time, and I built like 15 websites for him, and we actually built businesses together. And long story short, he actually taught me how to build $1 million businesses, even though he owned 100% of the equity, which was fine. Remember, he taught me everything, and so I did everything for the guy. I picked his kids up from school. I cleaned his massive pool. I washed his Lamborghinis, his Ferraris, his
Sounds like a pretty fucking sweet deal for this
Yeah,
guy.
I mean, I'll show you some pictures later. But like I actually
You still in touch with him?
Yeah, I talked to him like last week. And he's somebody who, when I think of him, I think of every time, like, if we have like a massive month or something. I mean, of course, like, my team and everything is literally why I am here today, right? Making the type of money that I'm making today. But at the end of the day,
shout out to Zach, who's also in the room. Shout out to Zach.
But at the end of the day, like, it really started, like, my roots were planted with Paul. So, like, he literally taught me, like, I didn't know what profit margins were. I didn't know what gross margins were, anything like that.
So he was like going into the weeds with you.
No. He taught me, like, I'm talking like bottom of the basics all the way to like how to actually make $1 million a year.
Right.
And like, we did it multiple times with multiple businesses, even though we were in like the product, doing clothing business, like totally different from what I do now.
Right.
But where I benefited is I was the guy who's always in control of building the authority of the brands that made the millions of dollars.
Right.
So once I learned what I did with Paul, like, I got him verified on all the social media platforms, got him the millions of followers, all of that stuff, right? Everything I've done with myself. It started because I've done it with Paul, and I was able to replicate it for myself.
Right,
but more importantly, so anyways, I was like 25 and a half at the time. And I was like, I looked at Paul. We're like driving this like Lamborghini on our way to some crazy meeting with like, dude, this dude knows like the CEO, like the Walton from Walmart. Like this guy, like, he's plugged in, right? And so we'd have dinners with, I'm not saying Sam Walton, but guys like similar of that effect, right? Just like billionaires. And I would sit there. I wouldn't say a word. I would sit there and I was a spectator.
Right.
But when I'd go home, I just write in my notebook everything I list, because I couldn't, like, we're not going to record the conversation, right? But I would retain all, like, the bullet points, like the, two or three important things.
And that's probably what we're going to be fucking doing tonight.
Yeah.
I mean, so we're going to an intimate investor event with Fam Mirza, who, by the way, we just had lunch with.
He's awesome.
He's hilarious, dude. He's one of the funniest guys that we've met, and he's actually going to be coming on the podcast soon, but he invited us to go to this investment thing. You need at least 250 grand to even like get in the door, which is kind of funny. But it's Josh Snow's event. Shout out to Josh Snow too. He's a pretty successful guy, lives in Scottsdale, Arizona. But Dillon's in town for Alex Hermosi's event, right? And I guarantee whoever's listening to this podcast know who Alex Hermosi is. He had a $43 million, I don't even want to say exit because he's still involved in his business. And Dillon, Dillon knows Alex. Dillon's had a couple conversations with Alex. Alex loves Dillon. Right?
He's the man.
Yeah, he's a really nice guy. I dare I say, I prefer Layla a little better. She's more of an operations person. Alex is more of the client acquisition. So I think Layla is just unbelievable. If you guys watch Alex, you're sleeping on Layla. For sure. You're sleeping on Layla. But, this guy's going into rooms and he's learning from billionaires, millionaires. Mm-hmm. And notice how he's a millionaire and he's not stopping. Like he's still going into those rooms and still learning.
It's important, man. It's important. Yeah.
100%.
And even like the biggest thing that I learned, like I know a lot of people say like your network is your net worth. And like, I think half of that's true. Like, sure, it matters. But at the end of the day, I think it's your network or your net worth is based off of your network that you exercise.
Right.
So I can know like, I know a lot of cool bunch of people that are worth tens of millions of dollars, right? Yeah. Just like you.
Listen, I'm a big Mike Stud fan. Big Mike Stud. Shout out to Mike Stud. And Dillon's on the phone with Mike Stud yesterday, just talking about freaking putting him on Times Square billboard, which was awesome. And that's okay. What I kind of want to get to, Dillon, list off like just for our audience, so they understand how like legit you are in the press game. List off 10 of the most famous people you've worked with.
I mean, famous by you mean just like other people know who they are,
right? Either celebrity or entrepreneur. I've seen pictures with Ice Cube.
Yeah. So okay. So there's there's Ice Cube, there's Dan Fleischman, there's Ryan Sheckler. I was like the director of PR for CBDMD, which is a pretty big company, CBD company. I mean, the list goes on. I don't want to like say like too many people out of like respect for privacy and just like with like the industry that we serve.
Right.
But I mean, Ice Cube, right? It's like there is a lot of big people, right?
I'm just trying to pry it open for my audience.
More importantly, I would say like writing with like Forbes and Entrepreneur and Inc. magazine. Like, yeah, sure. Like I've worked with really cool people. And like one thing I try not to do is just try to like leverage. And this is like no disrespect. I just don't like to like leverage certain people's names specifically off of like work that I've done for them to like boost mine.
And guys, he's not doing that because he's a press guy. And there's it's almost like journalism where there's a certain standard or certain thing. Like as far as like the expectations, like it's almost like doctor-patient confidentiality.
Yeah, like attorneys and stuff.
Right. Where he's not allowed to talk about that. However, do not do the same thing if you're an agency owner. Authority hijack.
Oh, 100%.
Authority hijack. So for me, if I buy a course from Grant Cardone. Anybody ask, Grant Cardone's my mentor. and you know what? I better be able to fucking say that because I fucking paid for it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So being able to leverage that, like if you've done someone's course and you know that person has notoriety, yeah, he's my mentor. Mm-hmm. Because he is your mentor. Like he is teaching you about business or about marketing or whatever it is. So you need to authority hijack in that way. Dillon doesn't need to do that because that's the game for him. Like that's what he does. He is the plug. But if you are an agency owner, you certainly want to authority hijack 100%.
And you kind of, like, I mean, I'll play on the topic, right? So it's like for example, Dan Fleischman, most people know who he is. They know that he's the youngest founder in the world at 23 years old to take a company public, which is massive, right? So, I mean, I've gotten texts and I've worked with guys, Andy Frisella would text me, hey, Dan Fleischman, gave me the intro. He would intro us, right? He said, you're the guy for PR. At the end of the day, like my job, more importantly, is to take care of those who refer me. So Dan Fleischman, for example, yes, he refers me, but it's my job to take care of whoever he refers me as well. Of course. The best example I can give is we all have grandmas, and it's super sad, but every now and then some of them get cancer, right? Like for example, mine, which is super sad. You would never refer your dying grandma to a bad doctor. And the same theory goes for me is like when Dan or like Andy or like somebody of that caliber will say, refer somebody to me. It's important for me to take that and own that. Right. So like Dan refers me people every week, and every time, I take care of them above and beyond.
He must think pretty highly of you. And obviously you taking care of them above and beyond probably has a lot to do with him sending you.
Well, yeah, because he's going to get feedback eventually, right? He can't refer somebody to me and then like them like, dude, Dillon was like a shitbag. Like, of course, you never continue to refer people. So I've worked on many projects that he's worked on with, many projects, and they've been extremely successful. The PR campaigns have been, off the charts. And there's a reason why people, it's not even just Dan. I get referrals every day, but it's because they know that I'm going to take care of their people. That's what it comes down to.
Right. And clout is currency.
It is.
It really is, man. Clout is absolute currency. If you are a single male and you're an entrepreneur and you have 1 million followers or you are verified on Instagram, you're going to get a lot of attention from the ladies, 100%. And then it's just the world we live in, right?
Yeah.
It's literally just the world we live in. There's a hierarchy and status.
It's like a vanity metric.
Vanity metric. Status matters.
Yeah.
And, the great part about, excuse me, guys, I got allergies. The great part about being an entrepreneur, being an agency owner, is that you have access to this ecosystem to where you can inflate your follower numbers, you can inflate likes and engagement, because I guarantee you know somebody. If you don't know somebody, then you know somebody who knows somebody who can do that for you. And it can go a long, long, long way. If you have a blue check mark, man, anybody is picking up the phone for you, right?
Yeah.
Anybody's going to respond to your DMs. For me, when I used to call gatekeepers, and I don't do sales anymore, I'm not on the phones anymore, but when I used to, I literally would tell the gatekeeper like, oh no, listen, your boss will take my call. Google me.
That's good.
Just go ahead and type my name into Google. I'd get a call back every single time.
Yeah, because you're a person of interest, a person of authority, and you're somebody worth listening to at the very least.
100%.
And that's the thing is like sometimes you only need 5 minutes of somebody's time to win them for the rest of their lives.
Yep.
Right. So sometimes like if you didn't have the PR that you have, and if you didn't have the following and the status that you currently hold, when people who don't know you physically, they need to at least know you digitally.
Right.
And if you're, in my opinion, being digitally famous or digitally known is more important than being physically known. Right. Because right now we're currently in Scottsdale, Arizona. There's people all over
going digital anyway, man. We're going in the
metaverse.
With
currency and all that. But I mean, at the end of the day, right? Like we're sitting right here. You have a bunch of followers. I've got a bunch of followers. We can make one post and we can reach people all over the world. At max, you and I can go to the nearest, whether it's a club or a restaurant, whatever it is, right? The event that we're going tonight, there's going to be probably 25 to 30 people there.
All millionaires.
Right. Which is amazing, because it's like that the elite status that will be there will be cool, and it'll be nice to like shake hands with certain people and like meet them and introduce ourselves and stuff like that. But it's like digitally holds like a different merit, whereas like you can really craft and create yourself specifically to be appealing to your target audience.
100%.
Whereas like what I can wear Lululemon, I can wear Gucci or Louis Vuitton, but that's not going to necessarily define who you are as a person versus putting yourself on Forbes Inc. Entrepreneur Magazine.
100%.
And having the third-party credibility and using the authority hijacking to have authoritative publications talk about how great Alex is.
Right.
And that's the difference.
Right, 100%. Except if you're wearing Christian Dior. That's an absolute, let me tell you something. When I put on that Christian Dior, it's a neck breaker.
That is funny. That's
seriously,
funny.
Though,
just
funny.
like Fam.
It's actually funny. Yeah,
there's a reason why he wears that.
Fam's in a full Dior shirt today. Oh, he's funny. Wearing his hat and glasses. He's amazing. But yeah, being able to network with all these people. I mean, just yesterday, dude, we were with Buck Wise.
Yeah.
On the rooftop of Kierland. He's literally he was the CMO for Cardone Ventures. Like, these are the type of people that Dillon is hanging around. And obviously he's introducing me. I'm introducing him. He already knew Fam, but the point is like, that stuff, like your network is currency, right? Mm-hmm. And, all that stuff gets reciprocated. I might know some people that Dillon doesn't know, right? Dillon definitely knows people that I don't know, right? And this guy is just like, when we were on the roof with Buck, you literally were like, Alex, dude, tell him what you do.
Yeah.
Like, bro, tell him what you do. Like, tell him. And I'm just like, oh shit. All right. I guess I'll tell him. By the way, Buck's coming on the show too, which is awesome. Thanks to Dillon. And all Dillon has done is just give. Like that's all he's done is just give. And he provides a lot of value. You've provided a lot of value. You've been here, dude. You've been staying at my house one day. This is the second day since you've been here.
Truthfully speaking, I really believe that this has been the most impactful business friend, trip that I've ever taken. And I know a lot of people. I've been to a lot of places. I mean, I've lived in literally 7 different cities across America. This has been the most productive 24 hours that I've ever had.
Well, that's awesome, dude. I'm happy to, know that I'm providing value to you as well. And, it's funny. Like some of my other agency guys, cause I'll have calls with them.
Yeah. We know them all
to help out their business. And, not a lot of people know who I am, but not as well as they should. Right. Mm-hmm. You got guys like Joel Kaplan doing $200K a month, and like everybody knows who he is. He's the agency guru.
Right.
And then you got me, who's doing more than double the revenue.
I know.
But he's more famous than me, right? And that's just kind of the game. And it actually used to bother me a lot more. But then I realized, like, oh, he's not famous for his agency. He's famous for his course.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
He has a course, and that's what he's famous for.
Right.
And he has a great course.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people
great processes and all that.
He's good at what he does, but he's not famous for his agency. So it's not the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I can't compare myself to this guy.
Yeah, it's completely different business.
Completely different business. But, in my mind, the old Alex is like, man, this guy, he's famous for doing 200, 300K. I'm doing 500. Like, what is, what's going on? Like, why is he more famous than me? And, I figured out it's because, well, he's got a successful course.
Yeah.
And I'm not, I don't think I'm going to have a course anytime soon. I would like to do that one day to help people. But right now, I'm cool with consulting, man.
Yeah.
I'm cool with consulting. And
getting on the board,
shooting the shit.
Yeah.
And just talking ideas, talking sales, talking frameworks, mm-hmm. and just being creative. Being in that creative zone. When we're in the war room,
yeah, dude,
the conference room,
that's where the money's made.
Yeah, I love to just come up with ideas and frameworks for how we're going to be successful.
Yeah, and we'll get more into that. We'll get more into that for sure.
Yeah, we're gonna get more into that. How much time we got left, Robbie? 1 minute. Oh, well, we're going to have to take a quick commercial break.
With our sponsors.
First sponsor is going to be Linkcrest Media. Unfortunately, I'm going to sponsor myself. But soon enough, just because we have a star-studded lineup, man, like, I think this podcast is going to be huge. We're providing a lot of value, and we got some really heavy hitters on. I don't think there's a podcast out there with their first season having this many heavy hitters on, especially in the agency space. Like, the lineup is ridiculous. The entire point of this, interviewing successful entrepreneurs, is I want you guys to give away a little bit of your soul, right? A little bit of the sauce, right?
Yeah.
What's Dillon's secret sauce? You don't have to give away the whole farm, but for my followers, a lot of them are new aspiring agency owners. Like, I remember I put up a post, free consulting call. Let me know your industry. Let me know your MRR. Some of these guys are doing 10K a month, 3K a month, 4K a month.
Yeah.
So, and probably the reason for that is because they don't have the credibility yet. Right. They're just starting out. So less people are going to buy from them. So Dillon, if you were just starting out as an agency owner, as an entrepreneur, what steps would you take in order to build that credibility and build your personal brand?
I can give advice based off of what I did, because that's what I know best.
Right.
And I also know that it worked for me, right? And then maybe you can give some tips and tricks, some nuggets on your end too.
Yeah, simple. Call Dillon Kivo.
Like,
very simple.
Click this link. So I think for me, like, the biggest thing that I believe I did so well is I was actually a solopreneur for much longer than I'd really like to admit. For, I would say, the first like 2 to 3-ish years, I mean, I had an assistant like the last of those 3 years. I had like a personal assistant who was helping me out with like a little bit of the admin things that I didn't want to take on.
I
Right.
need one of those.
But in the beginning, it was as crazy as it sounds and as cliche as it sounds, I worked my ass off. And I know that it's easy to say when I tell you I worked my ass off, for example, specifically Kivo Daily, right? We can start there.
Great publication, by the way.
I worked on kivodaily.com for literally 80 hours a week for 6 months straight before I made a penny on that publication. And it was like, dude, I remember 2 months in, the whole publication got shut down because like the hosting, all of those DNS server.
Yeah.
It's I don't want to get into that, but it's like the way that the publications are hosted and they have to align with the DNS. Yep. And there's a lot of stuff with GoDaddy. Long story, which you know about GoDaddy. So
also, now that I have this platform, fuck GoDaddy. Fuck them. And also fuck, I think his name is Dave. Fuck the manager Dave over there too. Go on.
So like what I'm trying to get to is like you can't like fabricate time, or you can't necessarily buy time. You have to put in the time. Right. You have to put in the hours, right? And I didn't come from a lot of money, even coming straight from like with Paul, right? Like again, I was making like $60,000 a year. Like, yeah, I made enough and maybe I had 10, 15K in the bank, but it wasn't enough to like hire full staff and like go like balls to the wall. And so I did a lot of just like guerrilla marketing, right? So I just did a lot of organic outreach, social media methods through like Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter and stuff like that, and reaching out to who I thought was trying to be the next Paul, right? And the good thing is I was able to leverage Paul in such a way of getting referrals. And just off of the referral network with Paul, I was probably able to make, I don't know, 100 grand a year. So double my income within 6 months just based off that.
Quick tip before I forget. If you are on a sales call and you are offering a discount, which you should be downselling. If you want to charge $8K for your service, make the price $10K, downsell to $8. You think you're hooking them up, right?
Yeah, smart.
But the other thing that we've just implemented into our business is, hey, I'm down to give you a discount, but you need to refer 2 people to me.
Smart.
Right. That is a good way to scale organically with low client acquisition cost. Yeah. Another thing that you had mentioned, Instagram DMs. Guys, I scaled to 75, I think actually even 100K a month, solely just doing Instagram DMs.
That's insane.
What you do is whatever industry you're in, say if you service realtors, you go and look up realtor meme pages. Who the hell would follow realtor meme pages? Realtors, right? 100% of their followers are going to be realtors. Then you DM them with your offer. Hey, I noticed you're a realtor. Would it be beneficial if I provided 10 to 15 new appointments to you per month? It's really, really easy, guys. Yeah. It's common sense stuff. You're all either millennials, Gen Z, whatever the fuck you are. You most likely use Instagram. Use your DMs. Slide into those DMs because it works.
Also, too, man, like, you know, there's you have to find the perfect balance of consuming knowledge and making sure you're applying it, right? Like in the beginning, I actually, besides like the whole YouTube stuff I was talking about, like on the website side of things, but when I knew, okay, PR, I knew like, you know, my set 10, 15 publications, I put together a package that, again, back to Alex Hormozy, didn't know this at the time, but when you make an offer that is so freaking good that people feel, you know, they feel stupid saying no to, that actually does work.
Right.
It does, especially when you like, I started servicing like every niche I could possibly think of, but they were specifically personal brands in every niche. But at the end of the day, I was using Paul as like the idol public figure of, hey, I helped build him. You're way down here.
You got to find somebody
Let
similar.
me help you build the bridge to where you want to go.
Right.
And since I've done it once, well, at that point, multiple times to Paul's buddies and stuff, I already had the roadmap. Right. So I had proven success with people I've already worked with in the past that I was able to literally guarantee that I was able to build the roadmap and get them to where they wanted to go from a digital brand, you know, perspective.
Right.
So I continue to do that. And I did so much of the boring work that nobody wants to do. And I think the money's really made in the boring work. Nobody wants to do the boring work ever.
No.
They want to do the flashy stuff. They want to work on their offer 6 out of 7 days out of the week, and they don't even want to sell.
100%. And I've seen so many entrepreneurs, including some that I'm not even going to name right now. But basically, they're like, oh, man, I need to get my logo design. I need to get my systems and processes down. I need to make sure that the service delivery is absolutely perfect before I sell anything. Wrong, you idiot.
Terrible.
Wrong. Sell first.
Yeah.
Okay. And I like try and beat this into people. Sell first, then use the profits to make the service better.
Yeah,
because
totally.
if you're trying to make the service better, but you are operating within the constraints, of your finances because you're not making any money. The only thing that the most effective way to make your service better is more money. So go out there and fucking sell.
Yeah, dude, absolutely.
Go out there and sell, and then use the profits and invest it into your service delivery. And a lot of people have that backwards for some reason. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, and like, I think one of the basics principle to actually use to start growing your personal brand, it's a free tool and it's called Instagram. It's all social media, right?
Right.
I firmly believe that a lot of people think like, oh, well, I'm not like Dillon, or I'm not like Alex where I have a bunch of followers. What people have to realize, you and I started with one.
Right.
We started with one person first, one client. Mine was Paul. Yours was somebody similar to that, in that, to that extent.
Yeah.
But like, even with social media, like, it starts with one person, and then it's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's like people don't even take care of the few followers they have. What makes them think they're going to take care of the tens or thousands?
Yeah, and they're not
in the future.
And they're either not posting enough, or
they're not providing value. They're trying to. This is another killer. People they post what they think they themselves want to see versus what their perfect like avatar audience client would want to see.
Right.
Because people follow for value. They don't follow for fun.
And there's fucking proof of that. So, all right, quick question. What do you think the easiest channel to grow your following is?
Even though I'm not on it I'm not on it as much like I should, I'm a firm believer that TikTok is probably the easiest if you're in the entertainment space or anything of those niches.
So my first TikTok video that I ever posted, this is how crazy this fucking algorithm is.
I was just going to say that.
My first TikTok post was I was in a rooftop pool in Bangkok, Thailand.
Oh, nice.
It has 856,000 views.
What were you doing?
Bro, nothing. I wasn't even in it. It was the
well, that's why.
Yeah, it was the pool.
Jeez.
But for me, the easiest way to grow my following has been Twitter.
I love Twitter now,
dude. Money Twitter.
Thank God for Elon Musk.
Yeah, and shout out to my money Twitter guys, because money Twitter is funny. There's so many people there providing value, and it's a really, really easy way to attain knowledge, right? It's a really, really, there's a lot of smart people there. There's also a lot of fucking dumb people there. There's a pretty side to money Twitter and an ugly side to money Twitter, and I try to emphasize the pretty. I try and be all about just spitting knowledge, and then you got those 21-year-old kids who talk about
Amazon,
getting
Walmart.
pussy and like being tough and like fighting, and like it's these guys are just absolute clowns.
Yeah.
But sex sells.
Yeah.
Right? These kids are like, hey, I got 10K followers.
But I don't think it sells to everybody.
No, it doesn't. Of course not. No, people hate it. But at the same time, people hate me, and I don't talk about beating people's asses or getting pussy. Like, I'm too old for that shit. Like, I don't talk about that. I talk about stuff, actionable things that you can apply, and then I talk about my business, and I talk about numbers. And the reason I do that is to show people that these numbers are attainable, with the information that I'm providing you. But you still get, like, you remember that video I showed you, you still get people who are cynics, and you get people who don't believe where you are. And it's really projections. Like, it's just, they know that they can't do it themselves. So they're like, if I can't do it, he can't do it.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people like that on Twitter too. But it's just part of the game. Listen, if you don't have any haters, or you don't have anybody hating on you, then you're just not important enough. Yeah.
And you and I were kind of touching base on this the other day, and it's like, there's a difference between a knowledgeable critic versus a hater, right? Like, I'm okay. Like, I'm a human, right? You're a human. So like, we do mess up.
Dude, I'm open to criticism. People
that's where I'm at.
People will literally, like, I'll say something about business, and somebody will be like, hey, I disagree. And I'm just like, cool, brother. Why do you disagree?
Yeah.
Like, let's talk about it.
Yeah.
But then you got the other people who are like,
Like nothing makes sense to them.
No
matter what they
You're
say.
a fucking liar, blah, blah, blah. I was showing Dylan the other day, and I deleted this off Twitter, but I basically like somebody was like basically saying I was full of shit. And I just like started recording, like, and I had all my employees, all 30 of my employees in the office, and I'm recording them, and I'm like, some idiot online just said that, we're not doing $500,000 a month in revenue. And I was just like going like this. I'm like, how the fuck do you think I afford all of this podcast studio, all these offices, our conference room? You know what I mean?
This place is nice, by the way.
Yeah.
This place is sick.
And you, in my Twitter audience, you guys are only seeing a part of it. We got a fucking pool right outside of this podcast
basketball
court, gym, steam room, pretty much anything that you could possibly imagine. As far as like for an office,
it's quality here.
Yeah,
for sure. This was a good move, by the way, from your last office, for sure.
Right. And Fam gave the cosign. I thought he was going to bitch at me that it was too expensive. Well, he was like, it was a good deal.
I was going to say, well, you did say something about your lighting.
You did say something about my lighting. So now when he comes on the show, I have to get special lighting for Fam.
Yeah.
Because the lighting's not good enough for him here. But, we'll worry about that when we get to it. I think he might have just have to deal with it. But we'll see. But this weekend has been incredible. And the best part about this is Dylan and I have done so much networking in the past 2 days. And we've been with like heavy hitter after heavy hitter. And we haven't even gotten to the networking event yet. Like we literally have not stepped foot in.
We've
the
only been in your office.
Yeah, we've only been. Yeah. We've only been at the Optimas, right?
Pretty literally. Even
much.
yesterday.
Like that's what we do. But seriously, this guy, Dylan, like I said, he's my entrepreneurial soulmate. He's the guy who like literally like we were staying up last night just watching Taylor Welch videos
and eating pizza, baby.
And eating pizza. Most people like they want to watch a movie, they want to watch like not me, dude. I'm on YouTube. Like I'm consuming knowledge at all times. And I know I know you're the same way. Yeah. And I don't do it because I have to though. I do it because I enjoy it.
Yeah.
I literally enjoy it.
Yeah.
If you're like, hey, do you want to watch this movie that just came out? It's 5 stars. Or do you want to watch a Hermosi video?
Yeah.
I'm like, give me the Hermosi video, brother. Like, and I don't need to watch his video. I could just DM Hermosi and ask him a question.
For me, what it comes down to is we'll have 24 hours, right? And so we can spend 2.5 hours watching Lord of the Rings, freaking Harry Potter,
wasted
whatever.
Time watching Real fucking Housewives with my fiance.
So it's like,
if I want brain-numbing television, I get plenty of it.
Yeah, true. And at the end of the day, like the way I look at my time is, where can I maximize my minutes?
Right.
Like I can spend an hour and a half, like Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, whatever, right? Spend 2 hours doing that. Or I can spend 2 hours, whether it's reading a book or watching Hermosi videos or whatever it is, right? Anything that's going to push the needle further within my brain. How do you read books? I mean, I do like Audible.
Same.
Like sound. No, but I do. Like I'm down to like sit down on the couch and just like straight up like actually read like physical books.
Got this from Josh Snow, but basically what I do is I do both. So
interesting.
So what you do is you get the Audible and you buy the book. You put the Audible at 2x speed. And you read at the same time, because what happens is
it traces you.
It literally, like, you can read really, really fast because the words are going there,
and you're just keeping up with it.
And also, you're retaining it in 2 different places. You're storing it in 2 different places in your brain because you're listening to it. Some people are you learn auditory learners, visual. It addresses both, right?
Same goes to sales, huh?
Same thing. Yeah. Well, yeah. Of course, I'm a proponent of demos for that very reason. But literally, when you do that, dude, like it's just like. And Hermosi talks about this. It's like, hey, I'd rather you read 10 books once than read 10. I mean, I'd rather you read one book 10 times than read 10 books once, because it's really, really hard to retain that information.
Yeah.
But when you're listening on Audible and you're also simultaneously reading, not only are you going to finish a book much faster, but you're also going to retain it because you're storing it in multiple places in your brain.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, actually, for sure. And one thing that I now expect of books or events or anything that I do. My biggest thing is I don't expect a book or an event or like a consultation call with anybody to solve like a lifelong worth of problems or question marks that I have. What I do is, if I can take away one golden nugget from anything that I do, whether it's once every day or, even coming down here, as soon as I got here, I was like, I don't really have like much expectation.
How many nuggets would you say you got?
I would say at least like 2 to 3 already in the next like first 24 hours.
And hopefully, if I can, because listen, my goal is to get on Bradley's podcast. I'll just be open about it. Brad,
Listen up.
Listen up, dude. What are we fucking waiting for? What are we waiting for? Get me on that show. I will blow it away. Not only that, but I think I could outsell you. but obviously I want to get on that podcast, right? It's a great podcast. He
has a great audience too.
He has a great audience, right? Mm-hmm. And the reason I want to get on that podcast is because I want that to be the opening for when I start consulting for businesses, right?
Yeah.
And I think you and I both know, especially in this game, specifically in the agency game, I'm very, very qualified to consult on the agency game.
Yeah,
There's not
totally.
many things that I know much more than the agency game. If you have a company that is doing $100K a month or $50K a month or whatever it is, I can double your revenue at a minimum, just from the frameworks that we practice, right?
Yeah.
And that's what I'd like to do. And I the reason I haven't gotten into courses is one, I have a business and I need to actually focus on that. Like, this is my baby, right? And I don't want to spread myself too thin. However, and also, I mean, there's just so much hate. People hate if you have a course. Like one of my my Twitter haters was like, "Dude, you're giving all this free game out because you're gonna want to start a course." And I'm just like, dude. He goes, "You probably have a course, bro, and that's why you're doing." I'm like, dude, fuck you. Number one, I don't have a course. But number two, that'd be pretty fucking smart if I did have a course.
It would.
Like, what are you talking about?
You know what I've never. This is a thing I've never understood. A lot of people shit on course makers, but they don't shit on authors. What's the difference?
Or
they're both giving information.
How about this? A lot of people shit on courses and say it's a scam.
Yeah, that's the number one complaint.
Hey, buddy, you just spent 90 fucking grand on your fucking degree and probably did not learn anything.
Yeah. Well,
you have the audacity,
I know,
to call a course a scam,
right,
brother? You've been scammed your whole life, then.
Yeah,
because
it's just been sold in a different package.
It's about like, do I need to know what the inside of a fucking leaf looks like? Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's what you're learning about, and you're hating on people who are doing courses like they're giving you actionable steps to actually make money.
Right. It's at the end of the day, what you're trying to do is swap information with people that are ahead of you, right? And so like one other term that but something I also live by is when I'm talking to somebody, I only take advice from people that I want to trade places with in the specific area of the advice that's actually being received.
Let me push back with you a little bit on that. And the reason that I would is because I've actually gotten little tidbits, right? For example, from you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Revenue wise, we're technically bigger, right? Maybe not net, right? But gross. Right.
For sure.
But I'm not gonna not listen to you just because of that.
Yeah, well, so what I mean by trading places with, I don't mean like just overall, right? I mean like in certain. That's what I meant by areas of what they do.
But even other agency owners, so for example, John Danes.
Great guy.
John, great guy.
Yeah,
he's not doing the same revenue I am. Like, we're probably doing almost double what he is. However, I'll get on a call with John and take his advice on shit.
Well, and so let me explain more into it. So there's I guarantee you, just like with you and me or Zach, right? Like, there's certain things where even though I can probably sell higher ticket than Zach, like at times, or have done it, this is the difference. Zach's been on thousands of sales calls, right? So for example, if I want to really, really learn my audience and who our perfect avatar is, he knows them better than I do. So even technically speaking, like if I wouldn't want to like trade financial places or whatever you want to call with Zach, I still want to trade knowledge with Zach in the avatar section of my business.
Right.
So he knows a certain part about my business that I have no idea about, or at least not as I have a clue, but not as much knowledge. Whereas like John Danes, he does a very different business than both of us, but there's certain things that he has done better that we can always take nuggets from.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. And that's the thing. Like, I never want to close the door to people who, might be doing less in revenue than me. Like, I don't look at it that way. Mm-hmm. I'm just like, hey, information comes in all shapes, sizes, and forms, and I'm just hungry for it. I try and be a sponge.
Yeah. More information is always better.
More information is always better, and then you can make an educated decision. I get advice from people who are literally multimillionaires. Hermosi gives me advice. I don't listen to everything he says.
Yeah.
I don't take his word as gospel.
Right.
I say, I'll take this one, disagree with. Doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
For example, I think everybody should do demo sales, right? And I told you why. Because some people are visual learners, some people are auditory learners, and it addresses both.
Yeah,
Hermosi
totally.
disagrees. He thinks it's perfectly fine to do it on the phone.
Yeah.
And that's because it works for him.
And
But
I
at
mean,
the
that's what we've always done is just phone calls.
Right. But at
you
the
know?
same time, he hasn't done demos to compare it to,
I was just going to say that.
to compare the data.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
have. Right. So and that's for me. It could be completely different for his industry.
Yeah.
But if you're selling high ticket, I think face to face is always better.
Yeah. Well, you also, I think more importantly than just being able to show slides, you see the facial expressions from,
You can read
from
them
the
better,
client or the
100%.
prospect, right? So if somebody is like totally checked out, you can tell they're like driving in their car or like something that's just not like, you know, that they're not bought in, right?
Right.
Like you might pitch them a different package. You might end the call a little bit sooner so you can get on somebody who's a little bit, that you know is a little bit more serious.
Right.
I mean, there's a lot of different takeaways that you can have versus just getting audible, feedback from the client and just thinking like, wow, this person sounds really serious, but they're like a 16-year-old working at McDonald's.
100%. And that's what I tell my sales guys all the time. Like, hey, you can get good by reading the facial expressions. Like, oh man, the last two people I talked to, their eyebrows raised when I mentioned this, discount, or I mentioned this part of the service, or I mentioned the fact that all these leads are exclusive. Their ears perked up a bit, or their eyebrows raised a bit. I'm gonna harp on that a bit more.
Yeah,
on my
well, because
next
it goes
call.
back to the whole feedback thing, right?
Right.
Because somebody's like tonality on their voice, it might not sound how their facial expression looks.
Right.
They might be super excited, but naturally they just have like a monotone voice.
Right.
Where they're still excited, and they still want to buy, but then if you think that they're not interested and they're not bought in, you may end the call sooner.
That's like my COO Joe all the time. I think I'm like, are you mad at me? Like,
Yeah.
you look like you're like, it's hard to get him to, like he's serious, He
Yeah.
smiles sometimes. He's goofy, but like, it's hard to get a read on him sometimes.
Right.
And some people just have that. Like, people look at me and they're like, dude, you look pissed all the time. Like, you look like my employee Isaac. You met Isaac.
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
a big boy, right? He's I'm not even gonna say. Anyways, he's large, right? And sometimes I'm just like, Isaac, what's wrong with you? Like, why are you acting weird? And he's just like, I'm scared of you.
No way.
I'm like, what do you mean you're scared of me? Like, what are you talking about, bro? He's like, I don't know what you are thinking. He's like, and it scares me.
That's
I don't know if you're mad at me. I don't know if you're disappointed. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, damn, like, I had no idea that you felt that way about me. Like, I thought we were cool. Like,
yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, I had no idea. So now I have to be like more conscious of it.
Right.
Like, I have to almost like let him know, like, hey, I like be more jolly around him.
Well, I think it just comes down to like, you have to know your employees specific, like very intimately, in the sense of like, some people like feedback or praise in a different way. Some people like high fives and some people like an extra bonus, right? Some people like on a pat on the back.
Some people even respond better to being yelled at.
Yeah.
Like my old CEO, that's what he goes, you played sports in high school? I was like, yeah. He's like, what'd you do? I was like, wrestling, played soccer. He's like, all right, bet. Next thing I know, he's literally like screaming at me in his office, threatening to like grab me by my collar. I was like, brother, do not do that.
Yeah.
Like, that is not the way I'd like to be talked to at all. Like, at all. And, but he just assumed that because I played sports and was competitive, and, but like, not everybody responds well to that. Some people do.
Yeah. And it's very important. It kind of goes back to like, I mean, you're engaged, you're a serious relationship. So like at the end of the day, it's like,
hey, Linz.
Like you with Lindsay. Yeah. It's like you literally have to know her love language. Well, when it comes to employees, you have to know their business love language, if that makes any sense.
100%. And it's so funny that you talk about that, because Lindsay's love language, unfortunately, is like nice deeds. So like,
same with Juliet, my girlfriend.
And I am not a nice deed kind of guy. Like cleaning the dishes.
Yeah.
Cleaning the house.
All the time stuff.
And me, I'm like, well, I do that. I pay somebody to do it. Like, what are we? But that's not good enough.
It's
she
the
wants
effort
me to do it.
It's the effort coming from you.
And that is just like not my love language.
Yeah.
Like, my love language, like I'm very affectionate. So like my love language is just affection.
Touch and stuff.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That's
I think
my,
it's because we're guys. I don't know.
That's my love language.
It makes more sense.
Her love language is like, dude, like if I went in our backyard and like built something like with my hands.
Are you a builder?
No, I'm the least
worst.
handy person in the
too.
world. I'm from New Jersey.
We're definitely gonna get along.
I'm an indoor cat. Like I don't like the outdoors. Like I mean I like the outdoors, but you know what I mean. I don't like going hiking and shit like that.
Yeah.
But I will. It depends on how good a shape I am. But I just like I'm not the guy who's going to assemble furniture.
Oh, dude, it's the worst.
I'm just not that guy. Like that is not who I am.
It's such a big task.
It's such a big task, but I am the guy who is going to work smarter, not harder, and go on TaskRabbit and fucking
Hire
find somebody who's really good about it and pay them for it. And to me, that's the same thing.
Yeah.
But to her, it's not.
No, I don't know.
Right? Yeah. And so for all you guys out there, there's actually a book called The 5 Love Languages, and it talks about all the different type of love languages, and you can literally figure out what profile your significant other falls under, and it'll actually give you tasks or like little like assignments to do to speak their love language.
Yeah.
But you know what? This isn't a love language podcast. This is a fucking entrepreneurial podcast. So we'll get back to the real shit. I think we got about 3 minutes left, Robbie. What we got? Yeah, you're right. 3 minutes left. So we're gonna wrap this up. Obviously, Dillon. If you need to reach out to him, he's Dillon Kivo on Instagram, right? And Dillon Kivo on Twitter. And we're pretty active on Twitter.
Now we are.
Yeah. So we and dude, you got to write some threads, man.
I know
Those threads. I've had some threads go viral.
I need to get on that game for sure.
People love, especially money Twitter, man. They just love the value.
Yeah.
So money Twitter. Make sure you give Dillon Kivo a follow. All my followers, give Dillon Kivo a follow. This guy is going to provide you a lot of value, and even if it's not through the knowledge that he's giving you, just fucking go get in touch with his team and get some press, because
we'll take care of you.
He'll take care of you. Tell him Alex Machuca sent you. And not for nothing, guys, my press, I think I was at 10K a month, and then I got press and I put it at the beginning of my slideshows, like all of my demos, and now we're at 500,000 a month, right? And it's because we established credibility at the beginning of the call. So if you're going to invest money, whether it's fucking $30 or $10,000, make sure that you are investing in your personal brand and your credibility, because that is what's going to take you further than anything else. Dude, you get into New York Weekly 40 under 40 like I am.
Oh, yeah.
Trust me. I don't even do the demos anymore. My salespeople are like, you know Alex Machuca? He's in New York Weekly 40 under 40. You see number 1 there? Drake's number 1. Alex is number 31. They're in the same. Like, that shit is going to be so useful for you guys. So anyways, this is the first ever episode. I hope it provided value, and I guarantee we're going to have Dillon on here again. We're going to go round 2 because we're short on time.
We didn't get into everything we could have.
Yeah, but
we will next time.
We will. Dude, pleasure having you,
man. You too.
Appreciate you.